Welcome to episode 25 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with host Ben Wilson at Our Trading Cards. And I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. On assignment tonight, Stefan Loeffler at Junkwax Twins. He will be back with us next week. As always, we're a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday here on YouTube at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available at iTunes and Stitcher at About the Cards Pod. And make sure you follow and subscribe on those platforms as well as this one on YouTube. And make sure you get the latest and greatest from our show. Welcome, Ben. How are you doing tonight, bud?
I am good. How are you, sir? How's your first week of December going?
Oh, it's going well. I'm excited because I see one of my buddies who I know is not a collector, but a longtime friend is in the chat. Robert, what's up, Robert? Thanks for popping in tonight. No, man, it's been a good week getting ready for the holiday. Got the Christmas tree up and all taken care of this week, and now spending all my money on presents for my son's first Christmas. So
that's what happens. Yeah, I was a little disappointed yesterday. I go to check the mail, and there's no cards in there. I was like, dude, it was like I felt like a failure,
right?
And yeah, and then I got awarded with a Panini Flawless McGuire today. It was the only card that came in, only piece of mail that came in today, out of 20. So I was pretty excited about that.
Well, yeah, that's just because there was no mail today. You got certain packages were being delivered by the USPS because of the funeral for the President Bush.
Right. I tried to tell my boss that it was a federal holiday and he should have to pay time and a half. Hoping because he's such a cheap ass. They'd be like,
yeah,
if I have to pay time and a half, somebody's staying home today.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. I'll go home. Just pay me regular time, and I'll go home.
I call my bank and because I need to make a deposit, our work bank, and I'm like, hey, you guys open today? He goes, why? Do you want us to close? He goes, I'll close this branch right down. I'm like, no, knucklehead. I need to come give you guys some money, not you personally. I need to give us some money. Yeah. He's like, what is it? I said, it's Bush is passing. They're remembering it. I said, you're a banker. You guys should know this. I said, if the wind just changes a degree this way or that way, you guys close.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we're going to hop right into the week that was last week's releases. And we've already kind of discussed this on Twitter today, but disappointing. Topps Living last week, week 38. We only added 11,874 cards. It was the 37th out of 38 weeks. It beat out week 37 for second to last place. Still last place is week 2. We had card 112, Ralph Kiner, the outfielder for the Pirates. The Hall of Famer sold just over 4,100. He ends up being 99 out of 114. The rookie Daniel Palka was card 113. The outfielder for the Chicago White Sox, no one knows, was just under 4,000. 106 out of 114. And then coming in behind that card 114, Billy Hamilton, outfielder of the Reds.
Formerly
sold
the Reds.
Formerly. Oh, breaking news. I didn't hear from
yeah, they non-tendered him a couple of days ago before the deadline. So I wonder if that affected his numbers at all because he's an unrestricted free agent at the moment.
Yeah, he's not very good at baseball. That's what affected his numbers.
But he runs really fast.
But he can't get on base. He's like Terrence Gore. Did you know Terrence Gore had one career base hit, but he had like 40 some odd steals?
When I saw that stat in the playoffs, I was just like, hasn't he been in the league like 4 years now? Because he was part of the Royals World Series.
He was our little speed demon.
Yeah. He's one of the guys that killed Lester in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the guys that got on base. And I'm just like, how'd you only get one hit? Like, you've been around for a few years. Another interesting stat. Did you know that Patrick Mahomes has 41 touchdown passes this year, which is 25% of Troy Aikman's career passing touchdowons?
Wow. Well, he also had Emmitt Smith, and the game was different then too.
It was different, but it's just kind of interesting when you think.
Well, and he only played 10 seasons.
Right, and he at the height when they won their 3 Super Bowls, he threw 54 touchdowns combined Yeah, Emmitt Smith hawked how many touchdowns from him, so different game, different makeup. It's one of those things when you go back and look at certain stats, you're like, no, wait a minute, what? Like with Terrence Gore,
Yep.
one career hit.
Your
Are you
head
kidding
hurt.
me? Yeah, and then didn't he get that triple in that one game? The Cubs, who they play? They played the Rockies in the playoffs, I think, or something like that.
So.
After the one game playing, I forget which game it was, but Terrence Gore had like a big triple or something. I'm just like, dude, he's doubled his career hits.
Yeah, all right there. Yeah, so and then also we'll have other breaking news in this week's releases coming up. But so we're just under 800,000, 791 and some change, 100,000 sold. I'm not surprised. I knew it was going to be a crappy week, and it was. The numbers prove it. This week will be probably just as crappy, if not crappier. But were you surprised at all?
Yeah. So I've been on record as saying that Ted Williams is what brought me into collecting outside of the A's. The Jackie Robinson was beautiful. The Ichiro we've mentioned has been nominated by Ryan Cracknell as one of the best cards of the year, just based on the aesthetics. When I saw the Ralph Kiner, I was like, whoa. I mean, that was a beautiful, beautiful card of him. There's a little over 100 cards now, 105, 110 cards now in this run so far.
117.
I mean, personally, I would rank that behind the Williams and the Ichiro probably as my third favorite card in this entire set. If not three, because there are a couple other really nice ones, it would definitely be my top five. The biggest problem with Kiner is he's not strong enough to headline a week. He should have been on there with somebody else like a Dale Murphy or
a current star.
Yeah, bigger name today. Doesn't necessarily have to be like in that Harper Trout realm, but it could be in the next
Goldschmidt on the
Goldschmidt. Yeah,
we're never going to get.
Yeah, we won't get. It could have been in that next step down. Even somebody like on the pitching side that's like that next second tier, third tier guy, like Chris Archer, even somebody that has changed teams recently. That I'm a little disappointed. I think that's such a beautiful card. And why do we collect? I mean, how many times have you went through a box of cards and found a non-PC card that you're just like, dude, that's a really pretty card. I'm going to buy that because I want to own it.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about those tonight because there's some of those in an upcoming segment that I want to go over. But yeah, no, I don't like the Ichiro card in the reason being I don't like the Ichiro card is it's got the stupid spring training hat. There's not another photo of him wearing a normal Seattle Mariners hat in his entire career that doesn't have that stupid spring training logo. So that's my problem with that card.
The reason I don't like it is because the Mariners suck.
Well, it takes away from the card, though.
The Mariners suck, and that's specifically for our buddy Chris Torres. The Mariners suck.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be making any deals with you anytime soon now.
I love the Mariners. Mariners are great. I love their colors.
Well, they did a good thing getting rid of Robinson Cano's big contract, but adding Jay Bruce's strikeouts probably doesn't hurt. I would just his ass.
I actually like what they're doing. I don't think that the Cano deal was great for the Mets at all. I've tweeted a number of times about that. But if we're just going to look at that trade, the series of trades, they might not have got the best prospects in return. Obviously, attaching Cano's contract to Diaz's, is a little questionable. But I understand DePoto's mindset. And right now, you figure you got the Astros at the top. You got the A's right behind. The Angels are going to probably be a close third. So you got the Rangers and Mariners at the bottom. Cool. We'll sell it all off and retool for 2021, 2022.
I think adding JP Crawford could help, so we'll see.
Not the worst series of trades.
Yeah, no. Last week also, 2018 Panini Rookies and Stars Football came out, and 2018-19 Panini Absolute Memorabilia Basketball, that is a mouthful, came out last Friday. So hot off the press is this week's new releases. Topps Living week of December 5th through the 11th, week 39, our 39th week. So it's pretty interesting. It was hit at the end of the year. Just a terrible week. I'm going to preface that it's awful. It looks like the Miami Marlins. Card 115, Luis Severino, pitcher, New York Yankees, the 9th Yankee in the Topps Living set. Card 116, Felix Jorge, pitcher, Minnesota Twins, rookie, 3rd Twin, not on the Twins anymore. Hasn't been on the Twins for a month or so. And card 117, Trey Mancini, outfielder, Baltimore Orioles. He's the 4th Oriole. It's nice to mix in the twin and an Oriole. And Mancini's got a little love from Baltimore. He had a good rookie season. This year was okay. Adding another Yankee. Severino's had a good year, but I don't understand adding a rookie that's no longer on a team or with that current team.
Sure.
And the set, again, it's why the Haney going on, because Andrew Haney was a terrible ad. Then, if you had quit running out rookies, if this is where you are with them, and let's put somebody else in on the Twins. I don't know. There's not many Twins to actually choose from, but you couldn't do Byron Buston.
With Heaney, though, at least you could look around, and he's been with the Marlins, and I forget what team he originated with. Was it the Padres? But I might be off on that one. He's been a big prospect name that's bounced around to a couple of teams now. So, although we ripped that one apart, at least you can semi-justify it. I mean, at the very least, he plays for the team still. Unlike this guy, I had no idea who Felix Jorge was. And then our friend Jenny Miller kind of went on a rant about the fact that as a Twins collector, she's not going to buy it, and that he hasn't been with the team. And, it's extremely questionable. When you have Twins fans kind of questioning whether or not they would even buy one, what do you expect for people in markets like Arizona and Tampa and Milwaukee, where we know that they're probably on the bottom 6th of overall collecting if you put it in brackets, the bottom 5th. These people aren't going to run out and buy a Felix Jorge, What are the odds that this guy signs with a team and makes it to the majors again? Who knows? I think we're going to look back on this, when it's 300-400 cards, and he'll be right there at the bottom in overall, print run. At least that's my feeling.
Well, no, and again, so the Diamondbacks only have 2 cards. I mean, the Yankees have 9, right? So the Diamondbacks have 2, and we missed out on a Goldschmidt as he was traded today for a bunch of prospects, or middling prospects, I guess now, to the Cardinals. The Indians only have 2. The Tigers have 2. The Royals still have 2. The Giants still have 2. And the Rangers still have 2. So you're not telling me we couldn't find somebody on that one of those 6 teams there to add to this and not have a rookie that's no longer in Major League Baseball? Oh, just frustrating.
No, it is. And, like I say, and I stand behind this, this would be a really good time to start getting fan favorites from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, guys that are not headliners. I've mentioned Dale Murphy, who, borderline Hall of Famer, depending on who you ask. Guys like Julio Franco and Will Clark and some of the other,
Will Clark would sell 6,000 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, why not put Will Clark with Ralph Kiner? You get a Giant who's another team that's at the bottom of the list of teams that have been represented. Kiner and Clark would go well together. Murphy and Kiner would go well together. Some of these guys that, Jenny mentioned Kent Herbeck. If you're going to do a twin, why not take a fan favorite, Dan Gladden, even somebody who is a World Series hero?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would probably buy, some of these guys, Brad Radke,
or even Kirby Puckett.
Well, yeah, but Puckett's probably a strong headliner.
But you put him with Kiner.
Yeah, why not? It's not a bad choice, but you put some knucklehead that nobody's heard of, and no disrespect to him, he's probably a really nice guy, and maybe he has a great career moving forward. But dude, come on.
Yeah. We're going to move on to 2018 Panini Obsidian Football came out today, 160 a box, 1 pack per box, 7 cards per pack. You're getting 4 autograph cards or mem cards, 1 base, and 2 electric etch parallels. Interesting. Base set the first 100 of vets, the next 100 of rookies, similar to a handful of the releases lately. All base cards are numbered to 100. And there are 6 electric etch parallels. There's 10 autograph sets, 5 mem, and 1 insert set. It was neat. I saw a break and a half or so today. Again, you're just trying to get an autograph of a top rookie. That's all this set is.
Somebody in Mojo Breaks chat room had during their show earlier, The Hype, had mentioned that it was the first product. This is what they said, not me, so it could be inaccurate, but it was the first product that featured Philip Lindsay of the Denver Broncos auto.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think so.
He's a fan favorite. He grew up in that Denver area. He's a really
And he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he's a really exciting running back. I mean, every time I've caught the Broncos, games or just on the Red Zone channel, he's a fun player to watch. So if you're a collector, I mean, it's always exciting when like with Bowman Chrome, another Bowman products. We got Bowman Draft coming out here next week. You look at this stuff. We're always excited to get that first one. And that's why I think Bowman has the appeal. Yeah, you're prospecting, but it's nice to get your first autograph card. And so when you get guys like Philip Lindsay, they've had some football sets out, obviously, over the last couple of months, but now you're getting a new guy, especially this late in the season where now you kind of know his established value, at least as a rookie. Those are always kind of neat for me as a collector.
No. And I can tell you real quick, been a huge fan of his from the preseason and drafted him in a deep dynasty league. We had a 7-round rookie only draft. And I took him with the second pick of the 7th round, and nobody knew who the hell he was. And I just stashed him away, and he's carrying me to the best record in the league, and I got to buy this week in the playoffs. So,
nice.
Yeah, very happy. So, no, it's just one of those sets to go get your Lamar Jackson, your Baker Mayfield, get an auto if you get lucky. But nothing really exciting there. 2018 Topps Dynasty Baseball is supposed to come out on Friday. $360 a box, 1 pack, 1 card per pack. It's either going to be an autograph or a cut signature. There's 85 subjects, and then there's 5 variations of sets of the autographs.
They're all low numbered, though. They're all low numbered.
Yeah. They are. No, they're all super low numbered. But, it's...
Yeah, I think there were 3 A's on the checklist. I saw Ryan Cracknell, Beckett, put out the team set, and it was like Henderson, McGuire, and I want to say Reggie Jackson or something. They're all numbered out of 10, and I'm like, all right, cool. Moving on to the next one that's out of my price range.
Now, dynasties for those the guys that like the big hitter, one quitter, bust.
Yeah,
and I don't think
there's
there's
going $1,000 for 3 packs.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have a lot of super bust in it, but I don't think you're really going to hit your $300 value. $360 value every time you open a pack. That's it for this week, guys. It was a light week, but next week, ooh, doggy. It's going to take me a few minutes to get the show notes together for next week. All right, guys, hold on. Got to get a sip of water here before I get into all these. All right, so remember Christmas is in like 3 weeks, right? Less than 3 weeks away.
It's like 460 hours away as of right now.
Why do you do that? And those poor bastards work in retail. So glad about
it. Oh, well, hey, yeah.
All right, here we go. 2018 Panini Extra Edition, Elite Extra Edition Baseball comes out on the 12th. 2018 Panini Playbook Football is back on the 12th as well.
2018 was a solid product. That was a solid product a few years back.
2012 is legit.
Yeah, that was the one with Kaepernick when he was, right?
No, it was Luck and RG3's rookie year, the year after Cat. Yeah, that was legit.
Yeah, I remember Playbook because I was helping out the LCS back then.
Yeah. 2018 Leaf Metal Draft Baseball comes out on the 12th. And then on on the 14th, 2018 Topps Transcendent Collection Baseball comes out, the $30,000 product. By the way, real quick, if you want to get in a break, I know Mojo's got them spots at 110, 103 or 110 for you get one. You're going to get guaranteed 1 card out of it. You're not going to get the invite to the party with Mike Trout and everything. But holy moly. And then 2018-19 Panini Revolution Basketball comes on the 14th. And then supposedly 2018 Bowman Draft Baseball comes out on the 14th. So get your checkbooks and your credit cards ready to go into deep debt 2 weeks before Christmas. Who needs Christmas presents when you can buy Transcendent Collection Draft, Elite, Leaf Metal Draft?
How bad would it be if we all
prospect prospect your way into foreclosure?
We can all go halvesies on a new personal loan from Cash Call.
Yeah, let's do it. There's a really good cash and go place up the street here. It's only like 60% interest, so
doesn't matter. That's per day too, or per hour. I don't know what these days. As a baseball card collector, I'd say let's do this. As an economist, I would say it's probably not the best idea, but it's one of those ones where economist, baseball card collector, the whole weight system.
Yeah.
Screw it. You only live once.
Why not? I mean, yeah, just money, right? You don't need that much money.
Yeah, we can all get a money tree and plant it in the backyard.
Hey, we all live in our cars.
That's right.
All right, so we're gonna move on to Infield chatter, our hobby talk section. I don't know, should we change that to like, more, for the basketball and football season, like, or in the box in the hockey, just because baseball season is over.
I don't think we should call it in the box. Maybe in the penalty box, but not in the box. That's too suggestive.
Okay.
That's what she said.
So we're going to go back to Beckett grading problems. At Silver JP2, our buddy Larry Fassauer responded back. Remember, this is the guy that had the mislabeled Otani card. It was supposed to be a black label, 1010, perfect, pristine, Panini Chrome auto of Otani orange refractor. He hit us back a couple of days ago saying, I just want to update you guys. Derek Ficken returned from vacation and really been over backwards. Help me resolve my mislabeled Otani card. He had a reslabbed and shit backed overnight in a total of 2 days. He says, I recommend to anyone to only talk to Derek when they have issues with submissions to Beckett Grading. He did go above and beyond, and I can't say that about the original person I talked to at Beckett Grading. So just some really good insight from Larry on what happened to him on a really ridiculous card. I think there's only a population of 2 black label Otani autos right now, and he has one of them. So
mistakes happen. I'm glad that Larry got this resolved. I'm glad Beckett did the right thing. So good for them. Good customer service. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes it depends on who you talk to. I mean, we had mentioned that maybe with the Thanksgiving week that maybe Beckett had a lot of staff that was off, and so unfortunately it was more of a timing issue. We don't know, of course, but it's good that his contact over at Beckett came through and did him a solid. And at the end of the day, he's happy, and that's what we want to see out of customer service. Just make it right. That's all.
Yeah.
Do your best to make it right.
And sometimes it's not that hard to make it right.
Sometimes it's all about communication. Sometimes if you just fall on the sword, I mean, I run a service plumbing company and things happen. We get an emergency and we got to move schedules around. Sometimes customers, even though they might be upset that you can't stay within a service window, if you just call and say, hey, listen, we're running behind, or we're going to have to reschedule because I have a finite amount of technicians available and they just got pulled over here. It's all about communication. If you can say, hey, this is the best I can do for you. Maybe it's not the right solution, but it's a solution and it's a foundation. It's a building block to say, hey, this is what I got.
No, definitely. And that's just the way it is. But we do appreciate him reaching back out and let us know that they got it taken care of. And from what I know, Derek's a pretty good guy. He used to run the Beckett radio podcast show a long time ago when it first started. And he's also a NorCal boy too. He's I think from the Bay. He's a big Giants and Warriors fan. So I think Niners as well. So
this just keeps getting worse and worse for Derek. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy and good for him, but man, come over to the east side of the Bay.
Dirty Piss Moan Stadium. Speaking of scams, we're gonna hop into hobby scams now. It was covered pretty good today. I watched our buddies over at Mojo Break their show The Hype. They got into some scams, and for you guys that didn't check out the show, I mean, it's really good. We're going to cover them, and they were tweeted out a lot. So at hobby_scams on Twitter, I didn't follow them until recently, and all of a sudden they started blowing up on the timeline, so I just started following them. And they go through, and they've been really good about pointing out things happening in the hobby and make people aware of. And a big thing, it seems like all of a sudden a lot of quote breakers, I'm not going to say are ripping off their customers. Now, a couple of things to preface this. If you're breaking, for me, if I'm going to spend my hard-earned money with someone and do a break with somebody via the internet, okay, three things I'm going to look for. One, that they have a website that you go and you purchase it through, okay? And I'm not purchasing it through a Facebook group, through eBay, or through frickin' Instagram.
Right.
Okay. Two, they do it on camera, and they have 2 cameras, right? So you can see what the hell's happening if they're at a weird angle, right? If they have 1 camera but everything's done in front, outstanding, right? But if they have 2 cameras, one like overhead or from 2 different angles or whatever, even better. And 3, somebody that's used them and broken with them and that kind of thing. because I heard people were buying brakes from people through Instagram.
There's a Facebook
Here, I got a
group called.
Snapchat break going on. I'm gonna Snapchat in the break, and then there's no video because then the cards are gone, and you just took your money.
Yeah, there's a group on Facebook called Sports Card Scammers or something like that. I believe the moderator's name is Ron Marion. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe he's behind the Twitter account Hobby Scams, or somebody affiliated with the Facebook group, I believe is. So it's kind of one and the same. And so a lot of what they put on Twitter are situations that happen that have been presented on their Facebook account. If I'm incorrect and I have that information wrong, feel free to correct me. But yeah, a lot of it, if you're gonna break for the first time and you're uncomfortable not knowing, who to go to, that's the first thing is, all right, if you've been in the hobby longer, Tim, I'm gonna come to you and say, hey, have you ever broken with anybody? Yeah, hey, I've broken with Mojo Brakes. Okay, what's their reputation like? They're solid guys. They ship. Their prices are on point because everybody's all about price driven. But they also have good customer service. Their shipping costs are in line with what the market rate would be through USPS. They're not trying to get rich off of anybody. They've got the dual cameras so that everything's legitimate. They've got a long history. It's not like they just came out last week. Not to say that there's anything wrong with people that everybody has to have a starting point. But I think my first thing would be I would go to people who I trust in the hobby, who have been around longer, and ask them their opinion. And once you start to give me a few names of who you've broken with and had good experiences, that's my baseline. From there, I wouldn't break with a fly-by-night person that I've never heard of before, because you're just asking for trouble. And there was a situation with a breaker that came up where he tried to defend himself. I've got 700 people that why don't you ask them? I don't scam people. And I tweeted out, I even said this in Mojo Breaks chat room today. I was like, listen, reputation and trust is like a credit score. It takes you a lifetime to build up and get a good one.
A second to destroy.
One mistake, and I could say something about you, Tim, and then it goes viral because it was on Twitter and somebody runs with it. Next thing you know, your reputation is shot. I mean, we're all familiar with the girls in high school that rebuke a guy's advances, and next thing you know, he puts a rumor out and her whole reputation is shot all over a lie. And so that does happen. And so you have to be careful. Even if you've been around forever, doesn't mean that you're trustworthy. It just means you've been around a long time. I mean, look at our buddy TNT Sports Cards out of New York. And, that guy's been around, and we've all been burned once or twice by him. But he's still around, and people still buy from him because he's, he sells in volume. And so you kind of take your chances. I know better. And with the eBay buyer protection, you feel safe. Like, all right, let me go ahead and buy from him because he's got what I need. And I always know eBay's got my back if something happens.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the first big one was the helmet mini swap. So a guy is opening one of the Leaf mini helmets, and for those who can't see the video, it's just imagine it's a big square box that holds a mini helmet, and when you open it, it has a flap that opens up and outward. So normally, if you're a legit breaker, you're going to open it where the flap flips back away from the camera and doesn't block the camera's view. This guy opened it so when the flap then covered the camera so he could see the helmet inside. Then you hear this creak of a chair and him rustling around, and all of a sudden then comes out, as he called it, a Jan Stenerud helmet when it's a Jan Stenerud. We all know the kicker.
But that's kind of a tough name, though. If you're not familiar. Okay.
Well, yeah, if you're not familiar with a Hall of Fame football player, but hey, no big deal. And it gets pulled, and okay, yeah, maybe that's the helmet that was in the box. Well, a couple things. The time in between him opening the top of the box and him actually announcing who it was a long period of time. The leaning back and the creak, if you listen to it, it's really obvious. Like you hear there's a lot of movement of a chair. Now, maybe he was trying to see who the autograph was, but before he read the name. But why have the flap of the camera, flap in front of the camera? So it's just, it's just kind of disheartening.
Yeah, I used to break with a local card shop, and I ran his break site for a while. And this was before a lot of the scam. This is 5-6 years ago, so breaking was still relatively new. There was a few. Mojo was around, and Live Case Break were around. There were still a couple of some of the bigger names in the hobby. But we try to keep everything in front. Our hands were in front, so you could see our arms, and you could see our. And I made sure that every card that came out of a pack, all the packs were set inside. You turn the box so that people see that there's no packs being held behind. Everything was done in front of the camera. Now the people have 2 to 3 cameras on you, which is perfect because you're seeing all angles. Breakers that do it right have multiple cameras, so that there's no way whatsoever to pull off a legitimate scam.
Yeah, and the second thing with that is if they have a website or they have multiple cameras, they've actually invested some money into this.
Sure,
so they have a financial investment into the company. Real quick, I see Jenny Miller. I looked over the chat. She said her number one pet peeve on breaks is when quote breaks are full. No clue on what time, let alone what day. I don't have the time to check every single day. If you're buying from a breaker that does not break on a schedule, don't break with them. I'm sorry, don't break with them because there's some big ones. Mojo's one of them we bring out, and I know you don't like this one, Leighton. And there's a handful other like hot hand or fire hand cards that they go in and you have a schedule of saying, hey, right. Topps Bowman Draft Jumbo Case Break 1 will break Friday at 10 a.m. Now, if not all the teams sell, it will still guarantee. I know Mojo does this. They still guarantee to break that day. Mm-hmm. So it will be broken the day it's listed. They will discount teams until they're sold, or they do whatever they need to get that done. But it will be that day. And if you're buying from a breaker and it's just like, hey, it's going to break at some point, but I got to sell these spots, then there's a lot of there's a ton of other people to buy from.
You're working on a budget then, and so depending on who it is, I might have a little bit of leniency, but again, when I was running a break site, back in like 2013, our thing was, hey, we're going live, we're breaking it today. Now, we may not break it at 5 or 6, but again, we weren't big site and we weren't breaking a ton of product. But it's like, we're going to break it tonight. And we're going to try to sell it out by 5, but we might push it back to 6 or 7. But I'd always say this if I was on camera, hey, I'm not going past 7. So whatever happens at 7, if no more teams sell between now and then, that's it. We're going to break it at 7 and we'll eat the teams. And hey, one time we ended up having to eat the Nationals and we pulled a Bryce Harper auto patch out of like Bone Platinum or something out of 5. I mean, it was a ridiculous hit. Somebody could have had for like $36, but to me, yeah, breakers that are willing to eat teams or take a loss on certain teams or an anticipated loss are the ones that are well,
then you don't have your team's price. Then you don't know the business because then you don't have your team's price correctly, right?
Well, but see, there's a lot of competition too, though. So sometimes it's you do have people like Rich Layton is probably a nice guy. I had a personal situation with him. I had considered him.
No, he was just an example. Other than we keep saying Mojo, right. and
but
that's just because
Live Case Break. There's a lot of big boys out there that are probably on the top 5 list. Mojo, Layton being one. I don't know who the top 5 list would be at this time because I don't break very much, but those are the ones that sometimes you're going to be high and sometimes you're not going to get the eyes on these every time. Yeah, you should have enough clientele if you're one of the bigger guys to where most breaks are going to sell out in advance, but sometimes offering a 10-12% discount on the Tampa Bay Rays because there's not a heavy following, it's going to happen. But that's the thing is, at the end of the day, you should break with people that you trust. And, oftentimes the reason people don't is because, I'm sorry, if Mojo's breaking a whole case, maybe that's not in my price range for the A's. Maybe I need to find somebody that's only opening, let's say, 3 or 4 boxes instead. But then that's when you're going to start to go to breakers that are probably don't have the resources to open up cases one after another. And so now that's when you start to get into, consider it like eBay. Mojo's got the 100% feedback and the guy on Facebook might have 98.6. It's one of those things like, well, you have to make a judgment of whether or not you feel comfortable investing your money. whether or not you think that they're going to be, scammers. And that's when you got to ask, hey, is anybody broken with so-and-so breakers? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yep. And then the next one was the Prism Football Thick Card Swap. So this was a gentleman selling single packs of 2018 Panini Prism Football. And he's showing the camera, and there's like a thick white card in there. And then the cards and he go off camera for, or I don't know. He's gone from camera. Now these are all on at hobby_scams. And then comes, he's like, I need to check. I'm gonna look and see what this is. It's a big one, right? Big thick card. He comes back and it's like a Jamon Moore patch or whatever. But there's two pictures, two screenshots where the thickness of the card is definitely different. It goes from like a 36-point card to like a 24-point card, And so he's getting called out live. Both these guys, there's like video in the live stream. You can see the comments like, this is bull. Like, what are you doing? You're all kinds of stuff. And it's like, I don't know, if you're going to a breaker and doing single packs, like, man, it must be you must be just hard up to get a pack of cards.
No, and as a general rule of thumb, if you ever see a breaker open, packs and cards never should leave the view of the camera until they've been opened and documented in front of the camera. Yeah, if you're going to set your stacks aside, that's fine. But those packs should sit there in front of the camera at all times. Well, you open up all your cards, you display them. So that way, as a buyer, I can say, I know that so-and-so card was not in my stack because at video point, X, I saw it. And where did it, you can't hold them accountable. Cards should never leave the viewpoint. There's just too much shadiness and too many, unfortunately, nefarious people out there.
Yeah. I was in a break 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago with Mojo. And the internet went out down there. Someone a truck had run in and taken out a box and it took out like half the city of San Jose's internet for like 14 hours. And they stopped the break and they came back way late. I mean, this was like 2:00 in the afternoon. They came back like at 10:00 that night and started the break again, but the cards were in the same spot we last saw them, in the same, like the packs, everything was the exact same as it was when the break stopped.
Right.
They set it down, and then they found out, like, hey, the internet, somebody taking a truck, and I mean, San Jose is you don't know, is basically the beginning of Silicon Valley, and there's a lot of tech companies in San Jose, and half the city without internet, and yeah, they were really affected. And so that's the thing you need to look for. And also see how they take care of the cards, And if you buy from a breaker and they don't send base, if it's not specified in their break that they don't send the base, and they're just sending the hits, and you get the hits, don't buy from that breaker again. Okay. Now there are some breakers that will give you inexpensive deals on breaks, and they'll keep the base because then they donate the base to Kids Hospital or Cards for Kids or whatever, and that's cool. But yeah, if unless you don't want them, that's another sign to me. Like, don't break with them. Like, those are your cards. You paid for that team. Like, those belong to you.
They're more or less just trying to save on shipping costs. Yeah. Is really what it comes down to. And I admire anybody that wants to donate cards to kids. But you know what? Honestly, I've rehomed a lot of cards. Our friend Tim, who's at Max Power on Twitter, our friend Ben Aguirre, who's at Cardboard Icons. I've got a package I need to send out to him for he and his son, Tony. So it's one of those things where if I get duplicate A's cards, I have friends, our friend Brian Weiss, we can share them and rehome them here locally. They're mine. I've paid for them. I like them. And if I don't need them, I can donate them to children in my neighborhood. I've given cards away to some of the kids in my neighborhood over the years to try to get them excited about the hobby too. But if they're like, hey, if you don't want your base, we'll donate them on your behalf, and we'll cut your shipping costs down. Hey, then now it's a conversation. Now it's up to me. You know what? Hey, yeah, you know, send them to me, or hey,
So
yeah, no, go ahead and send them to whoever you donate them to.
yeah, so breaks are fun. Breaks are a good way to get in a high end product that you can't afford on your own. Like Transcendent, like Flawless, like National Treasures. I love breaks when Flagship comes out. One of my favorite cards I have in my collection came in 2015 Series 2. It was a George Brett stamp penny in card from a jumbo pack, and I was watching Mojo Light Break live earlier this year in Series 1. I got the Z and Perez from Salvador Perez. It's a 1 of 1. It's gorgeous from his jersey from Flagship. Those are fun breaks for me. Like if you have a team in Bowman or you got a guy you're looking to prospect in Bowman, like I was with Garrett Hampson, I bought a bunch of times into the Rockies and got tons and tons of base cards and was super happy. That's my thoughts on breaks. Are like, they're a good way to do it. They're a good way to get into stuff you might not be able to afford on your own, or get a lot of something you really want, especially if it's like a jumbo case box break,
What's also fun, I think the guy's name is Chris, who runs Case Breakouts. Jenny's in our chat room. She can correct me if I'm wrong. But she got me into a break with him when I needed A's on, I think it was Topps Chrome, I want to say. And she was in there for the Twins. That's fun too, because now as I'm watching him open product, there was a Twins auto that was pulled for her. Cool. Now I can root for my A's and I can root for her Twins. If you were in there, I can root for your Royals. That's what's fun about breaks too, is we're literally getting our teams, but we can do it as a group of friends and 27 other guys, or gals.
Yep. Yeah. That's what's cool.
It's just a different way to collect.
Buyer beware. Be smart with your money. Like, don't be a chuckle, and then don't be surprised when you buy hot packs on eBay. Don't get finger effed packs from eBay. No, when someone guarantees Jason, when like Doug said, when someone guarantees you a Jason Tatum base rookie card in a pack, it's been repacked. They can't. No one can see through the packs, my friends.
Well, our friend Ken Kinsley, tweeted out in reference to some of these hobby scams.
Ken's not even here tonight. Where are you?
He said, basically, I'm losing my tolerance, and where's the accountability on the buyer? And I responded saying, if you're in the scammers group on Facebook, it always starts out the same. I sent money, friends and family, and now the guys blocked me on Facebook. I was in a Raz and I got ripped off. Well, first off, Razes are illegal in most states because they fall under the guidelines of gambling and lottery. Most breaks are pseudo illegal to a degree. They are on eBay. They violate, the listing practices rules. So it's one of those things that a lot of times the onus is on. I mean, we're never going to absolve the seller. You're the scammer, period. But a lot of it comes down to, think about this.
Stupid buyers.
Yeah, you get an email that says, "Hey, your PayPal account is on hold. Send us your PayPal account number, and we'll look into it for you." Okay, send them your PayPal account number, and guess what happens? The Saudi prince that wants to lend you $25,000, or the long lost uncle that you never had, and send us $600, and we'll drop $1 million in your checkbook. Think of it the same way. A lot of times the onus is on the buyer. You're literally helping these guys scam you.
I was on an Instagram Snapchat break, and I didn't get my Bryce Harper.
Yeah, no kidding. And now that guy has all your money.
It was $100.
Well, see, and the other thing too, what's good about the scammers group is they've got a database of, their rule is if you're going to accuse somebody of a scam, you have to have proof. You have to have some kind of dialogue. And yeah, some of that stuff can be altered, if you're smart enough to be able to do that. But they have it all on a scammers list. Hey, Dave Smith, and I apologize if Dave Smith's out there listening, but Dave Smith's a scammer, and the reason is that, blah, blah, blah. And maybe there's multiple instances. And then you'll see somebody else on there, I got scammed by Dave Smith. Well, you knucklehead, you're in the group who has a database that's warned you.
Yeah.
You got to do your due diligence. Just like our friend Pre-War Collecting was, talking about the pre-war cards that are being autographed and sold as authentic. it's like, yeah, there's really no way of knowing for sure, but
Oh, it
do
was signed
your homework.
signed in Sharpie, and the guy died in 1925. Yeah.
Just ask. I'll be the first one to admit I know a lot about cards. I know a lot, but there's a lot I don't know, and because of how I choose to collect, what I do know is very specific. If you got a question about the Oakland A's and specifically to their cards, please ask me because I can guarantee you I probably know or can get you an answer quickly.
Yeah.
You got a question about any of the other 29 teams, my knowledge is going to be limited. But you know what though?
I know everything about everything.
That's why I always ask Brent and Ryan and other people because they've been around longer. They've collected in eras that I didn't, that you didn't. They can fill in some of those gaps. They're smarter than we are in certain areas. It doesn't mean they know everything, but at least they might be able to point us in the right direction. And
there's good resources out there.
Yeah. Use your resources and use
ask
your resources. Yeah. You phone a friend.
Yeah.
Ask the audience.
Yeah. Poll. Maybe don't want to do that. Don't ask.
And if you get scammed after being a knucklehead, if it's something that you should have saw coming, like, hey, I sent somebody I've never met, friends and family, and they've now blocked me. You know what? You're eliminated. You are the weakest link.
Goodbye. I like how we're bringing up old early 2000s game
That's
shows.
right. I mean,
when the game show came back for a small period of time.
That's right. Deal or no deal.
I heard that back. Is that really back?
Yeah, they're like a one night only thing.
Yeah, there's 3 people I send friends and family to as Chris Hops in there. Don't send friends and family. Brent Williams for sure. My LCS I've done friends and family just because the guy I love. Steph. I don't send Ben friends or family. I actually send him certified letters.
That's right. So, no, I other than my dad, I'd obviously send you and Steph money if we had a deal. I sent Rich Klein friends and family, but Steph.
Oh yeah, I have too.
Rich is a good dude. I've sent Chris Torres friends and family.
So
Brent Williams. That's like the list. I mean, it doesn't mean that I won't send other people friends and family, but it's one of those things that
we were talking.
No, I was just saying it's a very small list of people that I would trust friends and family, and it would never be an amount more than a couple of dollars that would fall out of my pocket and I'm okay losing kind of thing. I sent somebody friends and family the other day off Facebook, had a couple people vouch for him. It was $6. Well, guess what? If I lose my $6 and I don't get my cards, my fault. Shouldn't have sent it friends and family, but I'm out $6. I'm not out $85
or $350. Not that happened to me. That's just what I sent somebody one time, and they sent me a gorgeous set. Real quick, my LCS went there today to pick up the edition of Beckett we talked about last week with the 80s cards. Now, this is only the second Beckett I've bought in probably the 7 or 8 years I've been back in collecting. The other one was in early this year that Brent Williams was highlighted in, who I sent and he got it autographed. By the way, that's like 6 or 7 shots for you all playing along at home. These were all $1. 3 Acuna rated rookies. I'm just bragging at this point. 7 Acuna Tops updates. What else? It was like 5 Torres update rookies, 2 Torres Chrome rookies, a handful of Andujar Chrome rookies, a stack of Rhys Hoskins rookies. They're all $1. It was a fun little experience today, and he had more. Like I just bought some. I didn't even buy all. I probably could have told Ben I could probably spend $60 to $80 on $1 cards today and come home with tons and tons of rookies from this year in like solid good. Yeah, everybody but Ohtani really. I had some Andujars in there. I have a couple Sotos in there. It was really cool. It was a fun day. So I just like to brag. So last week we had a whole lot of fun. There was a big conversation about the top 8 top cards and sets from the 80s. Thank you, Beckett, and putting this out. It was amazing. And I'm excited to go through here and see which ones I don't have from the 80s I need to get. Because these are all the cards I couldn't afford back as a kid. Now that we know there's a plethora of them, I can go out and get them for a handful of bucks, which now I'm excited to do. But we continued conversation. There was a handful of guys that were talking about 70s cards. And we were talking about, Ben and I and Steph went back and forth. Hey, do we do 70s? No. We're going to do 90s. We're going to hop right into the meat of the junk wax era in baseball and into where we all, where Ben and I stopped collecting halfway through the decade and how that half of the decade was pretty much garbage for the most part because of the baseball strike in 94, which really limited production in 95, 96, 97, 98, and even 99. If you look, those sets were less cards, less releases, and we started losing some manufacturers. So this is going to be really heavy on the early to mid 90s, but that's kind of what happened to the hobbies. It kind of started to die for a while there. And about the time when Ben and I stopped collecting, when we got into high school, and it wasn't, I didn't stop collecting because of girls. I stopped collecting because of the strike. I stopped collecting because I was playing football, and it just didn't interest me. Plus, I didn't have any money, and the money I did have, I wanted to spend on things to have fun at parties. So we'll leave it at that. So Ben, what are your top 5 sets of the 1990s? What's number 5 for you?
All right, so we're doing sets first.
Yes.
My thing too is my parents got divorced in '93, so '92 they were starting to have financial issues and separating homes, and that was a real tough time for us, me personally, of course. So it made it really tough. It's not like I can, while mom and dad are splitting finances, go out and say, hey, can you go out and buy me a box of baseball cards? So yeah, interest changed. We both kind of found girls at that same time, and then the strike hit, which exacerbated, a lot of people's disinterest in the sport. So yeah, all my stuff on sets and cards are all going to be pre '93. So I do apologize for that in advance. My set number 5 was '92 Fleer.
The green set.
The green set. I like the logo up the top, and they had Frank and then Thomas down the side. I thought those are really, really clean looking cards. They weren't too wild. You had the logo and the name on one side while you had the big picture on the other side. Score Fleer had a couple of okay sets. 90 was okay. 91 was okay. Nothing to write home about. So 92 Fleer was a really, really solid set for me.
The reason I like 92 Fleer real quick is I bought a box. My parents bought me a box. We were on a trip to Monterey Bay Area, and I got to open it once we got there, and I made the set, but I got a Mike Mussina, and I wrote him a letter, sent it to the Orioles and Mike Mussina, and he signed it and sent it back. It was my first TTM. I still have it, and it's right before Mussina took off and blew up and was the guy we know he is today, hopefully a future Hall of Famer. But
I think he just misses. I'm not a Mussina Hall of Fame guy.
Yeah, well, he's close though. He's in that Dale Murphy conversation.
See, that's the thing is Morris gets in. So if Morris gets in, Mussina has to get in now because.
Well, I'm just saying it was a really cool card for me in that set. That set in particular very iconic for me.
That was the last.
It's not like there's the good cards in that set are in the update set with the Piazza,
right? With the Piazza,
but in the base regular set, there's not a lot to write about.
No, the Piazza almost made my top 5 cards list. But I like that set. It was the last year I collected until 2010, which big gap. But I love that. At number 4, I put the '90 Bowman set. I know that our friend Tanner Jones on Facebook the other day said Mondays are the 1989 Bowman of days of the week. I love the Bowman. So what I know you don't like him as much. I know Tanner and so many others hate Bowman. I loved
99 through like 91. Bowman sucked.
Oh, I loved them, but see, they were brand new. '89 was brand new. They were oversized.
What was that big stupid card?
Yeah, but '90 came back down to size
and sucked.
But I loved it. So you shut your hole. I love '90 Bowman. I loved '89 Bowman.
By the way, your list makes me want to vomit. So I'm just gonna let you know now.
No, see,
these are to be honest, 3 of the 5 sets you listed would be in like the bottom, like their 91 Fleer version for me. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Before I continue, we were talking with our friend Mark Hoyle. I think it's Mark Hoyle 04, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitter. And in reference to the 80s, and he said the 70s were more in his wheelhouse. So he got into a conversation with our friend Cliff at Orioles Rise, and they're kind of going back and forth because they're a little older than us. So the 70s,
yeah, they're a little generation before us of collecting.
Yeah, so the 70s for them is our late 80s, early 90s, and so we kind of went there, and the whole reason for the 80s was because of Cracknell's piece and Beckett, and one thing Mark had mentioned was, it's the memories you have attached to these, right? 86 Tops is special to me because that was the first packs that I got. 87 was special because it was the first full year, and so on and so forth. So for me, these sets are more personal experience, not necessarily iconic. These aren't going to be mistaken for 52 Tops.
All right,
They're going to be, they were special to me.
So what's number 3 for you?
So number 3 is 1990 Donruss.
I got a box of 90 Donruss right here.
I just sold a 5,000 count box. I've got like 4 sets still in my garage.
Good Lord. I
loved it. They had the AL and the NL All-Stars. So you had that like that light blue color border, which is fantastic. They had
that light blue border was not. No.
How many times? Listen, I love you, but you're wrong. You are
wrong. Light blue border was the Bowman's. The light blue Donruss was the Donruss best.
But they were still part of the 1990 Donruss run.
Yeah, but they're not part of the 1990 Donruss set.
So that's what I'm saying. Like all of 1990
you should have said 1990 Donruss best of baseball, not 1999 Donruss. 1990 Donruss with the stupid red.
Sorry, I was running a multi-million-dollar company today by myself while I'm putting together this list. What do you want me to say? All of 1990 Donruss, all of the set runs. Can we continue?
Real quick, the best of baseball, they had the light blue border, and then the rookies, they had the green border, looked way better than this ugly-ass red one that they left.
But again, it comes down to the fact that I had a lot of 1990 Donruss.
Who didn't?
Up a ton of it. That's the thing, though. But I'm 11 years old. So the 39-year-old is looking back at the 11-year-old going, man, I had a plethora of this. I could trade 1990 Donruss up the wazoo for other stuff I needed to fill out some of my mid-80s sets. And I did around the schoolyard. I mean, I come to school with, 800 count box of my duplicates and just trade that stuff off 10 for 1.
Well, at least I have a fun story about this. There's a Rayleigh's, a grocery store up the street from my house, my first house where I grew up. And the neighbors, the stepdad collected baseball cards, and he was a big Reds fan. Well, his stepson would come in from Arizona, and he was a couple years older than me. His name was Chip. And Chip and I would go, and there was an LCS. Our LCS was in the same parking lot. So we'd go to the LCS, and I would buy packs from Cowboy, who was a great owner, Mel Fogelman, just a great man, and he passed away a few years ago, but we'd go buy packs there. Well, then we would run over to the Rayleigh's and grab like a soda or a candy bar or whatever and go back. Well, sometimes we'd have his little sister in the stroller. I didn't know this, but he and this other guy that were with us were stealing packs in 90 Donruss and putting them inside the stroller. Well, his stepdad finds all these 90 Donruss. Like he'd stolen, I'm talking like 10 to 12 boxes worth over a few weeks.
Dear Lord. Wow.
And said, Chip, where did you get all the money for all these cards? Because back then, these were 40 or 50 cents a pack, right?
Sure.
So you're thinking about maybe $20 a box, right? To give you an idea. And he had like $200 worth of packs. And he said, I've been with Tim and Brian, and we've been stealing them from Rayleigh's. So we get called to this powwow at their house with Brian's dad and my dad. And Brian his parents were divorced, and he lived in San Diego, and he was only up for the summer. Chip's from Arizona, only up for the summer. And I live here in town. And the three of us, and I'm like, dude, I did not I was there. I didn't know they were stealing these cards. These guys are, I was 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, and these guys were 13 and 14, and we hung out just because we collected, and they're stealing cards. And they finally came and clean and said, no, we didn't. Tim wasn't involved. He was with us, but he didn't take any of his cards because I didn't need to steal cards. I worked for money, and I bought. Anyway, so
right.
90 Donruss has a fun, special place.
That should be a top 5 set for you just for that. Again,
my top 5 is way better than yours. So what's number 2?
No. Okay, so number 2 is 1990 Tops. And 1990 was probably the last real year I collected. That's why 3 of my top 5 sets came from 1990. By 91 was when my parents started having problems. So my dad's involvement with buying cards for me and collecting alongside me started to wane a little bit. 91, I would say, probably was really the real last year. But it wasn't like, let's go get everything. Let's just kind of buy just tops this year kind of a thing by 91. By 92, it was really starting to fade. So 90 Tops is another one. The borders aren't the best, but there's just a lot of memories. Just a lot of memories opening up a lot of 1990 product.
That green back that looked like it might smell like mold, right?
Yeah, they probably do now. Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably do.
But no, that was 90 tops. I like. I give you a hard time. I like the 90 tops too. It's the
Right.
first factory set. First factory set I ever had. My grandpa bought it for me for Christmas that year.
For me, 1990 tops is probably my favorite 90s set, even though I put it at number 2, because number 1 for me is just an iconic set, and it's not even the original set, and that's 91 tops. And the reason I put this number 1 was because of the Desert Shield, and Desert Shield was such an iconic set. And
so explain what those are.
So they were
tops.
Yeah, so they were a parallel set or a subset that was specifically created. I don't know what the print run was, but they sent them over to Kuwait to Desert Storm to all of our military guys, and so they were specifically made for them. And so the reason that the collectability is higher, especially in high grade, was a lot of these probably got lost in the desert. A lot of these probably weren't something that ever made it back to stateside. So the ones that did, it makes the scarcity much higher. And they've got a little gold embossed emblem in the top. Was it the top?
Yeah,
I think it depends on the card.
Yeah, but it says Desert Shield. And
it says Desert Shield. It's like a little palm tree or something. It's a neat little logo. It looks very similar to like some of the archive stamp stuff that, 50th anniversary. If you're not familiar with Desert Shield, definitely run over to eBay and just Google it. Whatever, take a look at them because they're fun.
Yeah, they also did that 93 with the Marlins and Rockies coming into the league.
Yeah, the inauguration. The inaugural. Desert Shield. If you're talking about a no name player, a Dave Smith, and we're going to use that guy's name again.
Pitcher for the Astros.
Yeah, who's a nickel card type thing. A lot of the commons regularly sell for $1.50 to $3, and they're not necessarily in mint grade either. And then for me, when I was piecing together the A's set, you have McGuire. I think I picked up for like $12. There was the All-Star cards, and the A's had 3. They had Canseco, Welch, and Henderson. Welch, I think, was like 7. Henderson was 15, but it has gum stain on the back. And the Canseco, I think I got for 12 or 15. Overall, the 33 card set for me, I think, cost me probably upwards of $300 to $400 to piece together. And again, if you're buying a 1991 Topps team set, you're going to get it for what, $3, $4 total for all of them.
That's
a couple
cool
bucks shipping.
Especially the Chipper Jones is one of
the Chipper Jones is the iconic one. Yeah, I mean, and I think somebody sold a whole set of this Desert Shield graded. It's like a high grade too. Everything was like graded 8 or above. It's ridiculous stuff. They sold for like 100,000 or 100 or something like that. I mean, the ability to find them all, let alone be able to afford them all, is ridiculous. Because finding them is just, I mean, we've talked about this so many times. If you have millions of dollars at your disposal to spend on cards, there's going to be certain cards you can't find. Doesn't matter what you have to spend. You're just not going to be able to find them.
Yep. No, definitely. And once a Cub said, I have all but one of the Cub Desert Shield cards. Been working on getting them all signed passively. He's 12 out of 33. So that's pretty awesome.
That's damn impressive. If you can get those all signed, let alone, I mean, like I said, just getting them all is financially, it's a commitment.
Who's the one let us know who the one you're missing is, and we'll help spread the word.
Let us know. That'd be interesting to know. And that's the thing is, even at $10 a card, unfortunately, early 90s, 792 card sets, every team had roughly 30 to 33 cards.
Yep.
At $10 a piece, it's a 300 card team set.
Yep. So I have a couple of honorable mentions here. Their 91 Studio, that was like pinkish purple bordered cards. Those were the first real high dollar packs that came out. There we go. There's a Canseco. Hold on, Ben. Hold that up. There you go.
I have that and a Eckersley right here. They are sharp looking cards because it's got the black and white on the glossy fronts.
Yeah. Now these cards, these packs were untouchable for me as a kid, just based on price alone.
I do not have that team set.
Also 90. I have a bunch of those cards because I bought a couple boxes. I am like 3 5s. I'm looking here 6 cards short of that complete set I've wanted to build my entire life.
Do you have any dupes? I was going to give those to Bentley because they came in as filler cards.
Yeah.
I was like, do I even have these? And then I was like, shoot, I don't. I mean, I've got a whole like 7,000 cards out in my garage I need to go through, but so I might have some out there. But
my other honorable mentions were 91 score and 92 score. and those are just based on some amazing inserts that were part of the set, like subsets inside the set that were amazing. We'll get to what those are here later on. So real quick, number 5 for me is 1993 Fleer. Fleer. Right. So if you remember this card, it's a really thick, glossy card with 2 photos on it. One of my favorite sets. Could never afford the packs. They came in like little boxes. They were super duper sharp, very high end looking card. Even
they kind of look like Gold Label.
Yeah, even today they would be an amazing card that came out. 1990.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what they look like. They look like Gold Label with the 2 pictures.
Yeah. 1993 Upper Deck. Being is that this in hobby, but they had they had jumbo packs that you could buy, and they had the Walter Ios collection in there. They had a ton of subsets. The Home Run Kings was the first, the second year they had that, but they had the Star Rookies had a black border. You had Salmon, you had Snow, you had Piazza, you had some amazing rookies in that came out that looked amazing, awesome. Later on, the second or update series, I don't forget to call it. I know that there was the top prospects, and Jeter has a card in there. They have gold on them. Those were always, that was set to me was just awesome. The photos are great. It's a glossy card with a white border. Just a really cool card. And my buddies and I were all over 93 Upper Deck. 91 Tops, just the regular 91 Top set. It was the last set that had bubblegum. It was the last set that was on a complete cardboard stock without any gloss finish, where they went to like a glossier finish in 92 to what we know today. You have the Chipper Jones. My favorite card in the set might be the Hal Morris Rookie Cup card, and I have no idea why. I remember pulling it from a pack on a Sunday after church early when that came out, and I just thought it was the greatest card. I have no idea why, but I just love the way the Hal Morris looked. This is stuff I don't even have today. I don't even have one of these cards in my PC. 1993 Finest. That set is gorgeous. Not even the refractors. When we first got the taste of a refractor, was 93 Finest. Just gorgeous cards. They have the big Finest silver. I mean, they're really fancy and sharp looking. The George Brett, like he's off second base. And I don't have one yet. That's like a card, like one of the cards, like it's up there to me with 75 Tops Brett.
They just did that Finest as a subset recently in one of the Finest. I think like 2017 maybe it was.
Yeah, 2017. But
yeah, of course I love it because of the green border, and I love everything green when it comes to baseball cards.
It was just a gorgeous card, and my number one set is Topps answer to Upper Deck, 1991 Stadium Club. Just those photos, those Kodak photos of those cards, that they were $1 to $1.50 a pack, if I'm not mistaken. Now they're all, if you buy packs, they're all stuck together. So, and then just bricks. So I've opened a few boxes.
There's nothing better than the 1990. You want to look at a good card, flipping through a box, a card that you would have to pull out and buy. 1991 Topps Stadium Club Tony Gwynn. If you're not familiar with it, I'm looking at the images right now. Just type in 1991 Stadium Club and go to images, and the Gwynn is like the third, thing that comes up. His smile was so infectious.
Yep.
But yeah, Stadium Club, you can't go wrong with it. I don't think I ever collected that.
My dad did. I didn't. So,
like I said, by 91, I was starting to get to let's just collect Tops. That's all, because finances started to change, and at 12, I didn't know why.
No, and unfortunately, I didn't have Stadium Club. My pops did, and I would get, and Angela Kane, Hobson, Ben, 91 Cecil Fielder Topps is the greatest, greater than all your options. That's the one.
That is a sharp looking card.
So yeah, I love 91 Stadium Club. So Ben, what are your top 5 cards of the 90s? What's number 5 for you in the 90s?
So I went a little different on this. I stay a little bit more traditional with, popular cards as opposed to the sets I was more attached to. These were just iconic cards of the 90s. And Tim and I were talking earlier in private about the fact that after 93, there weren't a whole bunch until Ichiro and Pujols came along in the first part of the next decade. It's one of those things if somebody says any year from the 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s, you can almost pick out at least one iconic card from each of those sets. Even the late 70s, which have fewer big name stars as far as rookies, there's still iconic cards within those sets. And from 94 through 99, there's just not a ton. There's some Jeters, I'm sure, some A-Rods. So my top five, number 5, I had the 92 Bowman Mariano Rivera, just because it is such an iconic rookie card. And for it to be a relief pitcher, no less, is definitely, impressive. I recently sold one of these not that long ago for $40. It wasn't in the best condition. So they still have a considerable value in today's market. A set that I always liked that I don't think I really collected a whole bunch of at the time was 1990 Leaf, which had
some really good cards in that set.
Yeah, a really good set. Not the greatest design, but again, when you're looking back on our childhood, our coming of age years, our late adolescent, preteen. The one I specifically selected was the 1990 Leaf Frank Thomas, which is a great, it's just a really good card. And if you were on the heels of the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, the 90 Thomas run, all of the different ones were all very popular right at that time.
Yeah, no, that was a huge card. I mean, that was a super high dollar card back in the day. Those 90 Leaf, and even the Sammy Sosa from that set too.
Yeah,
my favorite was when Leaf did a couple years ago. They had that as a buyback. They did one of their own products, but they had those bought back and numbered 1 to whatever the guy's number was, and they were autographed. And that was super duper cool. So, Frank was 1 to 30, he had 35, but if the guy wore 3 or 4, that was even better. So
I got a low numbered Willie Randolph auto just to have one because it was fairly cheap, and I was just kind of perusing to see what was available. I'm like, I'm going to throw a bid on this. And yeah, it's a neat set. When you look at it too, as we look back, it reeks of junk wax. It reeks of early 90s. I mean, it may not age well in today's standards just because some of the cards that come out with nowadays are just ridiculous by comparison. Yeah. But for anybody that grew up in that era, that whole, 90 Leaf was a pretty legit set.
Oh, yeah. What's number 3?
Number 3 is the 93 SP Derek Jeter, which I think is his most iconic card or on the short list. Again, when you're talking about iconic cards of the 90s, it's hard not to have a Derek Jeter on there. And although there's a few to probably select from, I think 93 SP would be the go-to.
Yep.
The number 2, I had the 1990 Topps Frank Thomas.
Now, with a name or no name?
So I'm not as big a fan of this card as the 90 Leaf. But when we're saying best cards, you have to put 90 Topps above Leaf, only because of the no-name variation. And it's a great card. There's rumors, and I don't know if this is true, that the picture of the guy on the card that he's tagging was Barry Bonds. Have you ever heard that? It's kind of hard to tell who the guy is because of how
he in his college uniform?
It's a college uniform, but there's people that saying that it's Barry Bonds on the picture and that it was photoshopped. And it's kind of, funky colors on it. So it's kind of an interesting conspiracy theory. Who knows? But the no name is still going to get top dollars. If you have that, I mean, it's a very expensive card. And then lastly, I put the 91 Topps / Desert Shield Chipper Jones. The Chipper Jones is definitely the biggest card out of that set. And still, brings in a lot of money if you have the Desert Shield version. But before I turn it over to you, I do want to let me listen to your top 5 because I don't want to ruin it in case you put this card on there.
So
So
I saw Ben's top 5, and just to kind of give you an idea, the 90 Leaf Thomas, the 93 SP Jeter, and the 91 Topps Chipper Jones all would have been very highly considered on my list. But I went a little different. My number 5 card is actually cards. It's the 1991 Score All-Star cards. They were the character cards of the players, the cartoons with the big heads and the little bodies.
great subset.
I love that. And the reason being is at that time, I used to wear those Salem t-shirts, the character t-shirts, and you can get them now. There's a website, baseballcaricatureshirts.com, and they have football. And I have the George Brett one, and I have the original George Brett one in my garage. And then I bought the one. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. No, it was the frickin' the same shirt that I wore holes into. I have now as an adult, and I will wear. I forgot. I should have worn it today. I will wear it next week. It's amazing, and that's what these cards were, and they were great. With just it's just part of the set, but they were the All-Star cards, and they were drawings of these guys, of the 9 American League and 9 National League All-Stars. A gorgeous set. The 1992 Bowman, Mike Piazza. If you want a Mike Piazza card, that's the Mike Piazza card you want. He was a no-name, really, when that set. He wasn't even a super high prospect, but he came in at a good spring training, and then he was a no-name, but he wasn't like, hey, this is the guy. And he ends up being awesome and a Hall of Famer, and pretty amazing. Number 3, the 1992 Fleer Rookie Sensations. So this was an insert set that went with Ben's 92 set, and these had they were blue borders. You had Frank Thomas, you had Jeff Bagwell, Knobloch, I believe. There's a bunch of really good players in there. They were blue bordered cards with a gold, and they said Rookie Sensation. And God, if you pulled one out of a pack, I mean, they were tough. They were tough pulls. Those were great cards. Very, to me, just like almost untouchable cards. 1991 Stadium Club Jeff Bagwell. Now, at the time when this was released, Bagwell and then Phil Plantier, outfielder for the Red Sox, were the 2 hottest cards in Series 2. I had a buddy, and we went down to a card shop, and we both bought packs, and I pulled 2 Plantiers, and he pulled 2 Bagwells. We made a trade. I traded in my Plantiers for his Bagwells. Who do you think won? I did. Because I liked Bagwell, he liked Plantier, and we just said, here, but just a great, he's like near a diving board, and he's kind of standing up, and he's got that mullet, and he's got that early 90s Astros uni on that's just classic. They were awesome. And then my number 1 card is 1993 Topps Derek Jeter, the number 1 draft pick card. That you've seen that, like, this year they brought it back in archives with some players, I believe. Or no, that was Rookie Sensations, but they've done it in other stuff where they've brought it out in other products, but it's got like that green diamond in the background, the field and stuff. Just a great Jeter card.
So the one card that neither of us mentioned, and I'll be 100% honest, I didn't even cross my mind till just now, and shame on me. Considering the fact that our 41st president was laid to rest today, and we had a national celebration day, he was featured on a very iconic 1990 Topps card in his Yale T-shirt with the USA on the top. Right now, the least expensive one you can buy, which is an 8.5 by Beckett grading, is $6,499 on eBay.
Well, weren't the cards only given to him, and then he got to pass them out?
That I'm not sure. I know it wasn't something that was extremely available. They're very rare. Right now, there's one for 65, one for 7, one for 70, 2 for 7,500, one for 10,000, which is graded 9, one for 16 grand, and then there's also, according to this one, there's one listed right now for 150,000. PSA 9 mint pop 2. They claim that there's no 10s. The last one sold in October, and it was sold for $2,100, or best offer was accepted. And if you scroll down, there's not even, you can't even find another one on here on eBay in recent sold listings.
Yeah.
And this one that was sold back in October looks like it was. See if it's raw or not. Yeah, it looks like it was raw. On this one,
raw.
be very careful if you ever are in a position to buy one of these, because they are heavily forged and reprinted
by graded, authenticated, whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing is, most of us aren't going to be in a position to buy it, but that is one of the most iconic cards from the 90s, and it should have made one of our lists. So it definitely deserves an honorable mention.
Pullable, though. It's not pack pullable. So
that's why it's on the honorable mention.
We had some fans of the show reach out. So at Philly Puck Fan said one of his favorite sets was and this is a handful, 90 Donruss Elite 91 through 98, and then 97 Fleer Sports Illustrated set. At Shank Weather, Stefan Binzard, I think, 95 Upper Deck and 94 Fleer, the Hawk Gloves insert, and that was a cool set. I remember 93 or 94 Fleer Ultra had the Young Gloves set, which was really cool. That was a fun one. So here, Cardboard Icons gave us a bunch of info, and I love Ben. So here we go. He might be my favorite Ben.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's my favorite Ben.
Yes. So 97.
I mean, I should call him Mark.
Yes, 97 Bowman Chrome, 98 SPX Finite. Sorry, 93 Select. That was a cool set. 90 Leaf and 91 Stadium Club. So his favorite card of all of the 90s was 91 Tops. It was 91 Tops Clemens, and that's where he's by the strikeout thing on the Fenway on the Green Monster. You also had that in that set. You had the Wade Boggs that was like looking up in the sky. Like, you just had some really good photos and cards that in the 91 Top set. That was just one of my favorite. Like, there were some really good looking cards in that set. He also says the 97 Bowman Chrome Kerry Wood International Parallel, the 90 SP3, 93 SP Jeter, the 90 Leaf Frank Thomas, the 91 Stadium Club Griffey. Now here we go, score. So this is why I love early 90s score for these cards that were in there. So not only my All-Stars that I loved in 91, but the 91, they had the American flag. Because of Desert Shield, they had the flag, and I actually have it.
While you're stepping aside, I'm looking. Yeah, the Clemens was a fantastic card. Although I think the Boggs, since you brought it up, was probably a better card. Just the imagery with the clouds over him. I know why Ben would choose Clemens, because that's his dude. But that Boggs is a pretty solid card.
Yeah, this is what the 90 flag card looked like. It says, "We pray for the safe return of all Americans involved in Operation Desert Storm and for peace throughout the world." It's card 737. It was awesome. The other card he mentions is the 90 score Lights Out San Francisco Oakland World Series card, where it's a picture of Candlestick with the lights out. Also in that 90 set was the Bo Jackson with the shoulder pads and the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo will not sign that card. You can offer him all kinds of money. He will not autograph that card. I don't know why.
What's his reasoning?
I don't know what the reason is. He was going to be at a show, and it said all this stuff, and Mo will sign helmets and jerseys and flats, and that he will not sign the 1990 score. It said that will not sign shoulder pad bat card.
So there was a card. It escapes me, so it's kind of probably something I shouldn't even bring up. I think it was the 1987 Top set, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of those late 80s sets. There was a Through the Mail collector who was trying to piece together the entire set. And there's some dude, I think his first name's like Randy or something, some guy that played for like the Padres. Was not in the majors very long.
No. It's Ricky Wright for it's the 87 Ricky Wright Tops. He will not sign the card because the way he's standing, he's like holding the glove. And the reason I know this is I collated so much 87 Tops in my life. And it was the first, like, again, as Ben and I say, this is the first set we collected. He looks, even as a little kid, I thought, what's wrong with this guy? One, he kind of looks feminine in the photo.
He's
the way like
squinting.
and he's squinting and it
Yeah, he's kind of holding the glove like
like
up
he's
against his
hurt.
chest, right under. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
his
good
right
photo.
arm is not. But yeah, what's unfortunate is, and again, I don't recall the collector that's trying to piece this together. You know, there's been quite a few players from that set that are deceased. You know, it's been 30 years now, and even if these guys were 20 years old, guys die at the age of 50. And I'm sure, you know, there's guys like Donnie Moore who took his own life that I believe is in that set. And so there's probably, you know, Eric Shaw's probably, I think he's in that set, guys that have committed suicide. So you're not going to complete the whole thing
Bo
unless you
Diaz.
can. Yeah, Bo Diaz.
Don't install your own satellite.
Yeah, well, there you go. So yeah, there's going to be a handful. Obviously, you know, I know the A's have lost a handful of guys from the '89 team, like Tony Phillips, Bob Welch, and Dave Henderson are all deceased now.
Tony Gwynn,
Tony Gwynn,
Kirby Puckett.
I imagine there's probably a good 40 or 50 guys who are no longer with us, unfortunately.
Dick Hauser.
Yeah, Hauser.
That's going to be a hard one because he passed away in '87. So,
yeah, so unless you can get one of these on the secondary market, but then you have authentication issues. But this guy's still alive and well, as far as I understand, and he just won't sign it. So, you know, you mentioned Bo Jackson. I'm glad you could remember which card it was.
Yeah, because that card stuck. Oh my god, collecting, and then there's some of those cards that were forever imprinted in my mind from '87, actually, really '86 through like '90. If you could tell me give me an idea like you did, I can probably tell you who it is. Especially '87.
I just remember that being a big discussion because everybody had their thoughts as to why he wouldn't sign it. And, you know, it's his prerogative. He doesn't have to sign it any more than Bo has to sign the back card. And it's nice to know the story behind it, just because it's one of those things, right? It's a conspiracy theory otherwise, or it's a speculation. So
other cool, just really quick, to how much I love Scoreback 90. Well, they always had those the Dream Team cards. The worst ones were in 90.
Awesome.
The worst ones were in 90 because they were stupid, like art kind of render. They just look like trash. The 91 were really cool, and the 92 because both of them are all like black and white. One of them's like Frank Viola holding an apple because that's when he went to the Mets. The 92 Dream Team, I think it's Canseco. He's shirtless and in jeans, and he's taking a swing. You know,
that's a 91.
91, yeah, shirtless Canseco.
Yeah. Ricky Henderson, shirtless.
Ricky Henderson's like half naked, like he's almost. I think he's just wearing spandex shorts.
Kirby Puckett's just a photo of him with no t-shirt on from the waist up.
Yeah, like titties a bucket.
Dave Stewart does got the ball in front of his face. Like, come on, try me.
Yeah, and I think there was one of the relievers. The ball was on fire. Doug Jones, maybe, of the Cleveland Indians. The baseball was on fire.
Yeah, I just had that out.
Yeah,
Doug Jones. Griffey's just a profile. Boggs is just a swinging a bat. Nothing special.
Yeah. But those sets and those subset, the sets might have been garbage themselves. The base cards are kind of boring, but they had some of the awesomest subsets within the set of that early era. You know, no wonder they had 900 card sets by that time because they had all these awesome inserts. Just some of my favorite stuff from the junk wax era. And legit, guys, if you have $5 in your shop and you see 91 or 92 score, do yourself a favor, just buy the box and open it. Even if you just end up throwing them all away, I don't care. Open them and look at them, because that's super duper awesome.
So once the Cubs says that the '86 Doug Flynn, he was a second baseman for the Tigers, is another notorious along the Ricky Wright line. Tough card to get signed. I just asked him why in the chat room, so let's see if he can shed some light on it. There's nothing wrong with the card. I mean, it's, you know, your average looking card, not a big name player. It looks like he just finished his throwing motion, like maybe pre-game, because you can see the batting cage behind him, so it looks like he might be on the third base line. You know, it's kind of coming up from below the waist, so you can kind of see the second deck at Tiger Stadium behind him. Not a bad looking card. It's not like Ricky Wright where you could see his hesitancy based on the imagery. Let's see if he responds to why. But I imagine there's a handful of cards and certain players, you know, It's like we were talking last week, I think it was, about Brad Ziegler calling out people that are selling fake autographs of his, and the fact that the seller who had one had a Zach Greinke auto, and we're like, yeah, come on, that's your first sign that this dude's fraudulent. Not to say that Greinke has never signed or won't sign. It's just odds are highly unlikely. And when you couple that with the fact that he's selling a fake Brad Ziegler auto, it's probably extremely unlikely that Greinke is authentic.
Okay. So it was his last baseball card of that year.
And came back home to Kentucky, where I'm from and born and raised. Ran into my pastor, got me involved in something called the Kentucky Baptist Homes for Children. So they were doing an endowment fund. We wanted to raise some money for it. So we thought about some ideas of how to draw attention to the cause that we were doing.
So there's a YouTube video that it's kind of long here. That was like the first 40 seconds. But there's a YouTube video I will share after the show that lists why or why not he will sign the card. I mean, we're not going to get to it here. It's like a 6-minute video.
You're talking about Doug Flynn.
Doug Flynn, yeah. The guy's interviewing Doug Flynn.
Cup says he is a great signer, but said he'd never signed that. He was cornered at a charity auction a few years ago, and he did sign 5 cards for a $500 donation each. So,
wow.
Yeah, let's watch that video on our own time and kind of see. It's just kind of interesting to know why guys like Doug Flynn, Ricky Wright, and others, Bo Jackson, whether it's just a card or
I think the whole thing with that is that Bo, all that stuff that went behind him being a two-sport star, Bo's kind of a reserved guy and much rather talk about other things than his, sports heroics. If you ever seen the 30 for 30 on him, or is it the Football Life? It's one of the two that did a documentary on him. I remember him shooting a bow and arrow with his freaking feet.
Dude, I think I've told this story before that came from Mark Gubazaw. I don't know if I told this story on podcast, so I apologize if I'm telling this again. But he said when they were teammates with Bo in the late 80s, they were talking smack about him because he's dyslexic, isn't he? I think is what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
So he's a slower learner, something along those lines. And so Saberhagen and Gubazaw are both like 6'4", 6'5". They're both tall boys. And in the middle of the Royals clubhouse was a big food spread on like a long table. And they're on one side of the table. He's on the other. And they're just talking smack. And Bo's just kind of staring at him. And out of nowhere, he leaps the table. In one leap, does not touch the food with his feet. Okay? Shows you how high he can jump. Grabs both Gubazaw and Saberhagen, one in each arm, and tackles them to the ground. And right then and there, Gubazaw's like, that's when we know we, effed up. He goes, so the next day I come into the clubhouse and Bo's sitting on the other side of the room and he's shooting his bow and arrow, his crossbow. I think it was crossbow. And he's pew, 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 shooting them across the room at Mark Gubazaw rookie cards. They were hanging on the wall. And Gubazaw's like, see, that's when I really knew that I had messed up. And then I went over to him and apologized profusely. And the
other day on his birthday was a couple of days ago, and they were showing the highlights when he ran on caught the ball in center field in Anaheim, and he ran on the outfield wall. The man ran on the outfield wall. Or when he threw out Harold Baines, anybody threw out Harold Baines, Harold Reynolds from deep left field at home. And Jim Lefevre and Harold Reynolds couldn't believe it, and they were losing their minds and he was out by a good foot.
Well, when he first snapped that bat over his knee, I think every kid tried to go in their backyard and try.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that can, but he made that look like a toothpick. It didn't look like he put any effort into it at all. No bead of sweat. He was pissed that he struck out, and there it goes.
Yep. How stupid the Buccaneers. That's all I have to say.
Bo Jackson is absolutely an icon. And if Bo Jackson does not want to sign a card, damn it, he didn't have to sign a card. And to me, I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of celebrities, a lot of NBA players when I used to own my coffee shop. And other than Tim Duncan, I never asked any of them for autographs. It was just kind of cool to sit there and talk to them about their sport and upcoming games, and most of them were extremely cordial with their time. If I had an opportunity to meet Bo, I wouldn't need his autograph. Yeah, I might want to take a selfie with him, it'd just be kind of cool to shake his hand because he's Bo freaking Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need his autograph. I mean, I guess I'm a little different. I know some guys like, and yeah, I collect autographs.
I'd much rather the picture with him.
Yeah, it'd just be neat to be able to, shake his hand. And I've got Ricky Henderson autos, but at FanFest last year, he shook my hand as we were walking by. That's really neat. That's a good memory for me. I mean, I will start crying. I'll tell you that. So cool. This Ricky Henderson shook my hand, and I don't need to corner him and have an autograph of his. Yeah, it would have been cool to talk to him for a minute, maybe. That would have been neat. But again, I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of guys, just from different walks. You run into guys, and I met Greg Vaughn at a grocery store in Elk Grove, California. He was buying some stuff, and he sat there and talked to me for about 10 minutes. And I was like, dude, growing up, you were one of my favorites. I wish you played for Oakland. And he goes, I grew up a Giants fan. I'd always wanted to play for the Giants. I was told my agent, get me to San Francisco. I was like, I would have told your agent to get you to Oakland. He goes, neither one happened.
One of my favorite things in when I worked in retail, I sold cell phones at Best Buy for a while, and it was my department, like ran and everything. And one day this guy comes in, this dude, big dude, dreads, just rocked guy comes in. He's getting cell phones, and one of my gals is helping him, and I swung by and just checked, make sure he's doing good. And I noticed his name. I'm like, Alex Van Dyke, right? And I'm like, yeah. You were a second-round pick in '96 by the Jets. You and Keyshawn were in the same draft class together. You set all kinds of records in college in Nevada. And he goes, yeah. I go, man, we always were rooting for you being a Sacktown guy and all this stuff and, whatever, and shook his hand. And we talked for a few minutes and, about Keyshawn, and he was there about, the book, throw me the damn ball. And we had a really nice little 5-minute interaction, 10-minute interaction about that. And a couple days later, I come back. I was off, and I come back, and there's an envelope sitting there, and he had signed like 3 or 4 football cards and left them for me. And a little note that said, "Hey, I really appreciate the conversation, and it took me back to a fun time in my life." And he's now like runs an athletics like training stuff to get kids ready for college sports. Another one was Matt Walbeck, old catcher for the Cubs.
Yeah, he's still here locally. He's up in El Dorado. He's got a baseball clinic up in El Dorado Hills. Yeah, great guy. He came in, he had some issues with a computer or whatever, and I was like, walked up and I said, "Hey, you're Matt Walbeck, right? 93 tops, and you're crouching down." And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dude." And so, first of all, he's really pissed off about what had happened. So that really smoothed it over. That I was like, even before I walked up, like I knew who he was. And another great conversation. And I didn't want an autograph or anything from him. We just talked, a little bit about baseball and being able to play for the Cubs and just being kind of. I was like, it must have been awesome to be a major leaguer. And I had a guy named Dave Staten, and he was a big prospect with the Padres at one time. He's got a bunch of 93 rookies, and he only played in 93 and 94, but the man played with Tony Gwynn. Yeah. He played with McGriff in Sheffield. And so when I hired him, we were doing the interview process, and I was like going through it, and I'm like, I was like, I'm pretty sure I know that you played professional baseball, right? And we went through, and it was just because I'm a card nerd, and remembered he was on the card with Klesko, and I think it was 92 up tops, one of those 4-buys. Yeah, maybe it was 93 tops. But anyway, and he came the day on his orientation, and he handed me 4 autographed cards. One said, "Thanks, Tim, for getting me hired." And that's awesome. I got to talk to him about playing with Tony Gwynn. And we actually worked together when Tony well, actually, I wasn't working there, but he still worked at the store when Tony Gwynn passed. And so I was able to talk to him. I see him that day or a couple days later. And, but like that's, none of these guys are superstars, I'm telling you. But it was just cool to meet them and talk to these guys that actually play these professional sports I've watched and at one time really hoped, to emulate or to go and do the same things. And they're normal people just like us. And it's kind of cool to. One of my favorite stories before we go, there was an old Denver Nuggets guard named Bryant Stith.
Yeah, first-round pick in 92.
He was a good dude. He came by and bought a cup of coffee from our coffee shop because, we had all kinds of NBA stars coming through the downtown plaza in Sacramento, which is where the Golden One Center sits now. And because they stayed at the Radisson, I think it was, or the Hyatt over on L Street in Sacramento, California. And so, on their off days, if they came to town a day early, they'd swing into the mall and do some shopping and kill time. And he comes by, and we always give these. We knew who they were. We always give him a hard time. You're tall, and you look like you probably play for whatever team was in there. So yeah, you play for the Denver Nuggets. And he came by, so he starts talking to us, and we're just kind of. I happen to have the sports section. I was like, "You play last night?" He goes, "Yeah, I played the Knicks." Like, let's see how you did. And I scroll down to the box score. I'm like, 5 for 16. So that's not very good. And he's like, "Yeah, I had a bad night." I was like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you." I said, "Do you want me to wear your jersey tonight?" I said, "I can play against the Kings." I said, "I can't really do that much worse than you. Your shooting percentage was awful." And so he ends up going to the Suncoast Records, and he comes out, a whole slew of movies. He sets them on the counter, and he's like going through his wallet. And so I like literally opened his bag, and I'm like, "Can I see what movies you bought?" He goes, "Yeah, you bought Armageddon and a bunch of Bruce Willis flicks." I was like, "You a big Liv Tyler fan?" And he goes, "I'm a big Bruce Willis fan." I'm like, back then you could get away with saying things that were, considered offensive. So I was like, "Dude, that's so gay." He kind of looks at me. I'm like, "You could have at least said you're a Liv Tyler fan. Come on." I said, not to say Bruce Willis isn't attractive, but Liv Tyler is more attractive.
You look like a stubbier, thicker version of Bruce Willis.
I do. Who was stunned.
If you were the Danny DeVito of Bruce Willis.
I am the Danny DeVito. You know the scene in Spaceballs when they get the wrong guys and everybody looks different? They're like, "Gotcha." So whenever we see somebody that looks odd, we're like, they're the Spaceballs version. I am the Bruce Willis Spaceballs version, like a Bruce Willis Danny DeVito hybrid.
Yeah.
And so we're talking to Bryant, and he's like, "Hey, can I leave my stuff here, like behind your cart while I go shopping?" And we're like, "Yeah, cool." And so he like kept coming back, and he put more and more stuff in our cabinet for us to hold before he went back to the hotel. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna charge you tickets to tomorrow night's game." He goes, "I'm sorry." He goes, "One of my teammates has friends and family that live here in Sacramento." So he goes, "I gave away all of my tickets. I think all the players got like comped like 6 tickets or something like that." And he goes, "But next time I come to town, I'll get you guys." We're like, "Yeah, right, whatever." So he leaves. Denver comes back to town like a month later, and he comes back by. He goes, "Hey guys, here's 4 tickets for tonight's game." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" It's like he remembered us. This was just something we were just kind of goofing off.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No," he goes, "Come to tonight's game, man. I'll let you, meet some of the other guys." And that's cool. He's a neat guy. He wasn't a superstar, had a decent career for a while. But it made us feel good that he treated us like normal people, because we treated him like a normal person. We weren't starstruck, didn't ask for his autograph, gave him a hard time about a bad night he had at the office, and told him he should like Liv Tyler. And
yeah,
he's a good dude. And then that's what you want out of these sports. They're just normal people. He's on the road. It probably gave him a good feeling that people wanted to talk to him and didn't want to just rush up and grab a picture because he's tall and probably plays for the, so-and-so team.
No, yeah, that was like a couple back in September. We were out to dinner one night and with some friends, and my buddy's wife noticed that Dusty Baker was sitting at the bar behind us. And he was just kind of glad-handed talking to some guys, and she's a huge Giants fan, and said, "Do you think he'd mind if we took a picture?" And I'll go ask him. So she walked up, and he's like, hey, Mr. Baker, can I have a photo? And he's like, sure. And he took a couple pictures with her, and she didn't ask for an autograph, but it made everybody's night. I mean, it was great to see Dusty and big legend around SAC here. But no, it's good to hear those stories when stuff like what happened over this last week came out. About former NFL player Kareem Hunt and the thing he got kicked off the team for, and other things now are popping out. It's sad. I mean, I don't want to dive too much into sports talk stuff, but no, like there's always good stuff in finding out like this guy's now selling these autographs if he will for $400 donation to a child's charity. Like, hell, if you need to complete that set and this guy will only sign up for a charity that's going to kids, like it's not too bad, because you could write that off as a donation to a charity and you get your autograph and you've made him happy. You've helped out the kids and now you're happy. I mean, it's a $400 auto. It might not ever be really truly worth that. But again, the value to you is higher maybe than the $400 to have that TTM set.
It's all about perceived value, right? What's your best card? Your best card is not what's worth the most. Your best card, we've got into that in past podcasts. Hey, $400 donation for a Doug Flynn autograph on an 86 Topps card. It's probably not the most prudent purchase, but if you're a Tigers fan or if you're a Doug Flynn fan or you're trying to complete an 86 through the mail,
Do you think he would charge his mom $400?
Yeah, why not, dude?
Okay.
Nothing less
So
free.
my final thought, my parting thoughts on tonight's show, episode 25, which is really 26 because we had an episode 0 that was a test run that we ended up sharing. Which first of all, that's half a year. That's 6 months worth of shows. We skipped the July 4th one, which we probably should have done a show. I think back now, I was kind of dumb. We should have had a July 4th show, just done it earlier in the day. Because I hate anyway. Is shame on Tops and Tops Living for not having Goldschmidt this week or the week before when you heard of all the trade rumors. Shame on you. It's sad and disappointing. He's like the Diamondback that you want. He, if he ends up going to the Hall of Fame, you're going to remember his Diamondback career. And this set is a living set. And you have I will forever hate Andrew Haney, Evan Gaddis, Felix Jorge that's in this week's set because we didn't get a Paul Goldschmidt Diamondbacks card when the Diamondbacks have just a handful of cards. It's bullshit. And I was all about this for set of the year, and I don't know if we're going to get into that in next week's show. Early on, this was my pick for set of the year. Amazing, great idea, loved it. It trucked. The first couple weeks were slow, and then it took off like gangbusters. And I understand the season's over, but we're getting these dumpy sets the last few weeks, and the sales are showing it. But you don't have an all-star, multi-time all-star, a guy that's up for MVP, a home run hitter, the best player on his team, not in Tops Living. Like, I'm sorry, it really pisses me off. And I mean, awesome, he's going to be he'll probably get that one next year. He'll probably be early on as a Cardinals one because he will not be in Series 1 flagship as a Cardinal. He'll be in Series 2 as a Cardinal just because we know that they already have those cards set. They're printing as we speak because it comes out so early. But it just pisses me off as a guy that supports this set every week buying at least one card that they did not put. Not that I would have bought the Goldschmidt, but I didn't get the opportunity to. And they heard the trade rumors. It's been talked about since the season ended.
Well, all of their big guys, I mean, obviously Harper's had one, Machado had two, but got one early on because...
Yeah, don't even get me started. Machado having two and Goldschmidt not having one.
Right. So you knew that Harper and Machado are free agents to be. Machado was probably going to get traded. It's like, let's start looking at guys who had, 1 year left on their deals. So, you probably want to get Goldschmidt in there. I don't know about Chris Davis, who's got 1 year left, but there's a bunch of guys. If we really sat down and talked about it, there's probably 5 or 6 guys you probably would have wanted to get in before this offseason in the event that their team traded them. Goldschmidt was an icon in the Diamondbacks. Name a bigger Diamondback. You're going to go back to Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson, but they didn't. They meant more in a season or 2 seasons, not as long. I mean, Goldschmidt's the face of the Diamondbacks franchise. I mean, unless there's somebody I'm missing. But, it's like Arenado's not the face of Colorado because of Todd Helton. But Arenado's probably number 2.
Yeah. No, it really pisses me off. Like, it really does. Like, he's the one they missed. Well, like, really think about it.
It really begs the question, are they going to allow guys retroactively to have a second card? We've talked about all the, obviously if Steph were here, he'd bring up Brian Dozier and should have had a Twins card, but you're not going to put Goldschmidt on a Diamondbacks card in the set until after he retires, assuming that they drop that rule. So the only way to get a Goldschmidt card is if this set lasts another, 7 years, 8 years? And they have to drop that rule. So, yeah, it's unfortunate because Goldschmidt has been a 6-time All-Star.
So, I mean, even all I know is that he beat the holy hell out of Tim Lincecum all the time. Even in Tim Lincecum's heyday. Like, he torched Lindsey.
Goldschmidt should have been done last week with Ralph Kiner.
Yeah. During the season when the Diamondbacks had like 1 or 2 cards. Come on. Yeah, it just... Malik Smith has a card, huh?
Yeah. No, there's
Joey Ricard has a card. Like,
yeah. And I know this set's new, but they've got to have this foresight moving forward is which guys like Machado and Harper are pending free agents, and which guys who have a year left on their deal,
They could be traded.
who are going to be 2020 free agents. So going into 2019, you need to start looking at that 2021 free agent class and start thinking, are there Goldschmidts, guys that might be moved with a year to a year and a half of service time left on their current contract?
The one I also pissed me off is Bumgardner.
Yeah, because what happens if he gets dealt?
Have Madison in next week's set, please, just in case he goes to the Phillies. And God, if he gets traded to Phillies, let's hope we get to fleece the Phillies.
So let me ask you this: if they did Bumgarner, Goldschmidt as a Diamondback, and another
Machado, just with a free agent hat,
another scrub. If they did Bumgarner to squeeze him in just in case Zahidi trades him, and Goldschmidt, it's not too late to do him as a Diamondback, but you got to do it next week.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with that?
I would be fine with that because we got it, but it's not going to happen.
And then next year you could still do him as
if it happens, I'll buy you Goldschmidt.
Okay, fair enough. And if it happens, I'll buy you a Goldschmidt.
There we go. And then we can have that car. I still owe you. I think I still owe you a McGuire because I think I gave you one. I told you two. I think I still owe you an 85 McGuire from our other bet.
We'll have to get together for lunch. And we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think we have a card show in January too. So real quick, yeah, January 12th. If you're in Sacramento, swing by the Crown Plaza on Dade Avenue, and Ben and I'll sign autographs for free.
Yeah, and if you are in the Sacramento area and you want to meet us for breakfast, maybe we'll all get together and do breakfast again.
And we might try to hit up Daly City in the Saramonte show sometime, and they have one in January, June, and September of next year. So
yeah, we need to get down and
check out one of those.
So, the Mojo Break
studio
card shop. Yeah,
go by and see the guys. Yeah, I'd love to see Doug and Dan and C-Rad all in person. But no, hey guys, again, I'm sorry I didn't mean to get a lot crazy at the end. We've gone super long. Damn, this is our longest show ever without Steph, bro. We're a man down and we damn near go 2 hours. Sorry about the long show. I hope you enjoyed it. We still have eight people holding on live with us, so thank you. I want to say Mango Bango 69 is new, so I believe welcome. Once the Cubs been in here tonight, Gilbert, Arizona. I have a buddy who lives out in Gilbert. Has been in and chatting it up tonight. Let's see. That idiot Ben Wilson's been in there. Jenny Miller, always. She's been in tonight. We love Jenny. We had Chris Torres was in there. What's up, Chris? My buddy Rob swung by, and our friend Noah, whose cousin is Garrett Hampstead, and I flipped out on and got all excited about this year. Ryan McIntosh was in early, so thank you to everybody that participated in the chat tonight. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Thanks for everybody that participated and letting us know about their favorite cards and sets from the 90s. Also last week from the 80s. That was a ton of fun. We love the interaction. We love doing the show. And Ben, do you have anything to say before we leave?
No, we just appreciate everybody, all the good chat. And we love all the conversation on Twitter, like the actual debating and conversation. We got into a really good one today about Tops Living with Tops Living stats and everything. And those are fun. I mean, it's fun to have a good, healthy debate about our hobby when it's not people arguing and whatnot and seeing all sides of the coin. So I definitely encourage everybody to get into a conversation if you can, as often as you can, because it just helps the hobby grow.
No, definitely. And we love it. And keep bringing us stories and letting us know what's going on and sharing good and bad with the hobby, and we'll get it out there. Remember, we're live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review on our show on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. Let us know how we're doing. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. You can follow Ben and his crazy rants at our trading cards, taking this a badge of honor if he blocks you. Did I die out there, Ben?
No, you're fine.
All right, good deal. Kind of funny noise in my ear. Follow Steph at Junkwax Twins when he's back from assignment. And you always follow us for joining episode 25. We'll be back next week with episode 26. The Clinton Portis edition.
That's right.
I wanted to do that, but Mojo does that on the show. They have a player and a number. So
you can't rip it off.
That's why. No, I don't want to rip it off. I love those guys too much. But guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the 2-hour marathon without Steph. Good Lord. All right, guys.
2
We'll
more
see you.
episodes
Keep
till Christmas.
Yes, keep collecting. Next week, be ready for all those new releases coming out. Ooh, boy, howdy, got to get started tonight. All right, see ya.
All right, good night.